Next up is Predator. And in the comment under my post, he said, "What build would you recommend for my Shadow at 10 energy? And what do you think I should do with my Hangar to make it better? And what should I focus on? Thanks." I will try to cover all of that for you best as I can. But first up, we got squad power of 2,400 rounded. Good experience. I think that's looks like a free-to-play player. Wins per battles looks like about 50-50. Almost exactly there, actually. So we'll look at that in a second. The kills per battles is between 6 and 7. So okay, let's take a look. Top mech is Killshot. We will go from left to right. And he said, what build would I recommend for his 10 energy Shadow? Which is what I see right here on the very first one. Maleficent RPG-2 is what he currently has. I would probably put the Javelin Racks from Cheetah onto the Shadow. Just because I think it would probably work a little bit better, maybe. You have a lot of I don't want to say weaker mechs, but they are lower HP. They're faster and they have like low energy. Once again, what I would suggest every balanced hangar to have would be 2 attackers, 1 tank, 1 scout, 1 support. I see 2 scouts, 2 supports, 1 attacker. So, in general, I very much like Shadow. But if you were to if I were to truthfully say which one is better between Killshot and Shadow, obviously I'd have to say Killshot because Killshot's in the top 3. Zephyr, Killshot, Panther, looking good on this side. And really, there's not a lot to be said about that. I would not really suggest that you have Shadow in here at all at this point. I would probably replace it with Aries or Guardian. And I know that I say this a lot, and from what like you might be hearing, I'm only like really recommending the same things to everyone, and that's kind of true. I mean, you only have 6 slots. 3 of them are the best mechs in the game. And if I were to choose a best tank, I would say Aries. If I were to choose a second best attacker, I would have to say Guardian. As far as availability goes, once Stalker is introduced, you could replace it with Stalker. Stalker's an attacker. The ability is very nice for that extra damage. If you prefer Juggernaut, you could use Juggernaut instead of Aries, or if you have a Brick House, you could use Brick House instead of Aries. But my personal recommendation would be Aries and Guardian instead of Shadow and Cheetah. These look like they're... Cheetah's pretty high level, but I would consider replacing the 2 of these. Maybe you just don't like tanks. Maybe you know, you don't really like slower mechs, and Guardian and Aries are both slower mechs, but they both have a lot more HP. Maybe it just fits into your playstyle. If you were to keep Shadow, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's a little bit complicated, but I would say what I would try to do is Well, okay. No, because you're not, yeah, you're not gonna duplicate Arc Torrent 10 for a while, so, uh, I would say that the best weapons available to you for Shadow are Javelin Racks. However, Javelin Racks are also the best weapons available to you for Cheetah. So, it's kind of a back and forth there. Um, RPG2 is obviously incredibly weak, and I would not upgrade it a second further than this. Um, focus on Missile Rack 8, which you've been doing, clearly. No pilot on the Shadow. If you can get your hands on a pilot, it's like 10,000 credits or something like that. It's not entirely cheap, but so long as you play for, you know, maybe an hour per day, 10,000 credits is about how much that you get per day. So it's not completely unreasonable by any means. All of the daily tasks are easy. Um, and those get you like a good 5,000 credits right there. So yeah, there's that. RPG 2 is probably your best bet in combination with Missile Rack 8. Normally, I would say that the best 2 energy weapon would be Thermal Lance because it boosts your other higher energy weapon. In this case, in combination with Missile Rack, it would not work very well. Um, Javelin Racks on Cheetah work pretty well. The pilot is an assault weapon damage pilot, so you're not actually getting this 2% right here. But you are getting this Javelin Rack 2% extra damage, so that's good. Plus the 4.8 general weapon damage. So roughly 7% extra damage. Not bad. Arc Torrents on Zephyr are fantastic, and I would try to get a pilot on one of these 3 mechs because these are going to be your top mechs. I'd try to get a pilot on one of these 3 as soon as possible because it can make your already great mechs even better. But yeah, this Arc Torrent 16 or Arc Torrent 6, Arc Torrent 10 works very well once you've upgraded the rank as Zephyr to accompany 20 energy. Obviously, work on duplicating Arc Torrent 10, and you can do even more damage with that. But it's pretty far in the future. Killshot, you have 16 energy, but are only using 12 with Missile Rack 6. I would suggest putting the Missile Rack 8s from Panther and Shadow onto Killshot because I mean Killshot's probably your top mech right now as it is. Yeah, I mean you could do even more damage with it. You can make your top mech even better. You can do a lot of damage with just the stasis 16 and something else. Let me see, 24. So you have okay, yeah. So you could put an 8 energy weapon on the Panther. I would suggest though, if you have a stasis 16, I actually suggest just putting on a thermal lance 6 or even a stasis 8 if you happen to get that in the derby event, which I did not. But you know, if you got it, then you could put that on. But I would highly recommend putting both Missile Rack 8s onto the Killshot and boosting the damage by like 33%. So that would be really good. And then that. But yeah, I would focus on trying to get a few pilots in here, getting a few implants. You get free implant crates. You don't have to spend anything. You can get some free implants. Maybe you won't get any good ones. You probably already have a few. You might not have any useful ones yet, but you'll get them. You'll get them. And it's like, oh, jeez. It's like and it's like another 10,000 credits for an implant too, a rare implant, which is also expensive, but you know, um, it's worth it. It's worth it if pilots are what you're focusing on. Obviously, focus on putting resources into pilots. And once again, you can, on average, you can get like almost 10,000 credits per day if you play for any decent length of time. If you use all of your battle tokens that you have, then I mean, sometimes if you have a task but no battle tokens, just try to finish the task. Don't worry about getting the crates from the battles. It sucks. The reward system from battles is a little bit. I would not say that it's completely ideal, but it is what it is. And I don't always have battle tokens when I go into a battle either, because I'm not going to spend A coins just to refresh my battle tokens for some crate, just to, get some crates when I actually do a battle. Like, I don't always do that, because it's kind of a waste of A coins if I only have like one task that I need to complete and it's pretty simple and I think I can do it. That sort of thing. But yeah, overall, I would consider trying to get Guardian and or Aries into your hangar. I would put the Missile Rack 8s onto Killshot. I would put pilots onto as many mechs as you can, starting with Killshot, Zephyr, Panther, whichever ones you want of those. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for your player ID, Predator. If you have anything to add, please feel free to leave that in the comments down below. But anyway, on to the next one. Alright, next up we got Maleficent with approaching 2,000 squad power, 100,000 experience. Your wins per battle look like roughly 4 out of 6, so like I don't know what percent that is off the top of my head, but it's not bad. You're doing good. Highest damage 600,000. Total kills. It looks like you are roughly at 8 kills per battle, which is very good, by the way. You got the top 3 here on the left side of your hangar: Panther, Killshot, Zephyr. Always a good sign. And you even have my 2 recommended, Guardian and Aries. So as far as mechs go, I would consider this a very high quality hangar. So good job on that. But we'll start with Panther. You have 20 energy available on your Panther with 2 carbine 8s. It's interesting. You don't... Hold on. Okay, so that is about the same level as the rest of them. Just checking. How in the world did you get carbine 8s at rank 3? Oh, that's right. They did some stupid thing where you get them at like rank 1 or something ridiculous like that, didn't they? I don't know. I don't know. I don't like that. It confuses me, and I wish they just wouldn't. Normally I would say try to save up for carbine 12. That is a bucket and a half of A coins, which is very unfortunate, and it took me a very long time to save up for carbine 12 myself. Uh, Partially because I usually just spent the A coins on other things. I'm not a huge carbine fan. Sorry, Apex Dragon, you are gonna have to wait. Anyway, as far as things go, your options are limited. Uh, what I do not see in your hangar though is long range weapons. Uh I'd put long arm 10 and long arm 8 on here if you have both of those. I would suggest that instead of carbines for the moment. You could obviously replace it later if you really wanted to. Uh, but I think in general, mainly what you seem to be kind of lacking here is long range. You got a very close range, that's good. You got a sort of mid-range splash damage, also good. What you're gonna want is a semi-close range assault weapon, which is carbines. Carbines are good choices. However, you also want a long range, and you don't want to support weapon mechs like this. I would put, what is your Aries energy at? Okay, I would put maybe, no, it's a conundrum. I don't really know what you have available, like what you have in your inventory that you aren't using, but like have bought. So like I don't know what you have available at all, but I would try to I would say that these two setups are not entirely ideal. Uh, this one I wouldn't personally recommend like long term, but it is very usable. Like it's good damage on a it's a decent it's a good mech for those types of weapons. I'm not a huge fan of missile racks just in general, but that's just my preference, so it really has no say here. Um, Carbines on the Panther aren't terrible inherently. Uh, so you could keep those on there if you wanted to, but I would not recommend javelin racks on the Aries. But I would also not really recommend sniper weapons on your only tank. So I would try to put like assault weapons onto Aries and some kind of maybe sniper weapon on your Panther, or even put like the sniper weapons on the Guardian and keep your Panther as the assault, or like a missile rack or something. You could put missile racks on your Aries and do this kind of trifecta of mix matching. Um, we'll take a quick look at your pilots and see where they stand. Obviously, red does assault damage, which is helping your carbines out right now, so that's good. Weapon damage 5.2, assault weapon damage 2, carbine damage, and mech ability duration are the two implants that you have. Carbine damage is doing 4%, which is putting you at 11.2% extra weapon damage overall. That's pretty good. Javelin rack, Killshot. Said it before, I'll say it again. It's very usable. If you want to keep doing that, you definitely can. Another thing you could do, it's probably your top mic. Yeah, it's your top mic. So you probably don't really want to swap it, but Killshot is good with almost any weapon. And I'll just say that right now. It is very effective with basically anything that you could possibly put on it, because most of the effectiveness is the speed and the massive ability damage. The weapons are kind of just there. They're just kind of there for the ride. You could put the missile rack 8s on the kill shot, and that would actually work very well also. You could put the javelin 8s on, well, you couldn't put them on Aries yet, unless you ranked it up again. But you could put javelinates on. Sorry, I'm gonna have to keep declining you, dude. Um, yeah, but I mean, there's ways of switching this up. I would suggest your ideal hangar to have these mechs, but I would also suggest that your ideal hangar have one close range setup like your Zephyr has, one sort of mid range burst setup, usually missile rack, like Guardian has, some kind of support weapon like Killshot, a more assault type of weapon like Panther has, but I would also suggest a sniper weapon of some kind. And if you manage to get Gauss Rifle or something, then you could put those on Aries. But I would not suggest two support weapons, and I would not suggest not having a long range weapon because that can really put you out in the wrong maps too. Some maps are very, especially in tournaments, some maps are very long range, very sniper heavy. And if you don't have a sniper, you're just gonna keep getting wrecked. But anyway, that concludes my review of your hangar. Thank you for your player ID, and if you have anything to say about my suggestions, feel free to leave it in the comments. One thing I actually forgot to say was your comment under my post. And you said, do you recommend me improving my MD? I love the team play of this healer and Javrax or saving up for a cheetah. I would not really recommend MD to anyone who wants to take the game seriously. These are the top mechs that you can have in your hangar at your squad power. I think, I mean, I'm not sure. It remains to be seen, but it might end up being that Stalker is kind of beats out Guardian. I see a lot of people with Stalker, but that's also just because it's new. A lot of people want to use it, and by a lot of people, I mean like a lot of like these top players with like 5,000 squad power. A lot of them like to use Stalker. Um, as far as tanks go, Aries is still just the top tank. I wouldn't recommend trading that out, but yeah, I think this is a solid hangar. I think if you were to include an MD into the mix, Javelin racks would work well on it, but once again, I would not suggest that you have two mechs with Javelin racks, so I would get rid of the Javelin racks from one of these two. And I mean, since you have Javelin 8s, you probably want to focus on those since they're higher damage. And MD's maximum energy is 16, so you couldn't use these Javelin 8s on MD unless it was completely maxed. So just judging off of what you already have in your hangar, I would not recommend that you include MD if you're trying to take the game seriously. If you're not really trying to take the game seriously, you could replace Aries or Guardian with it. Obviously, these are the top three mechs, so those are just the ones that you'll do the best with, regardless. You could replace either of these with MD if you like. If you just want to, have fun with that. Saving up for a cheetah, I wouldn't really recommend that, and that's only because having multiple support mechs is kind of just, it's not usually the best idea, and you already have the best support mech that there is in the game, and that would be Zephyr. A cheetah could do well, but in general, you want a good balance of low and high energy mechs. You want a good balance of slow and fast mechs. You want a good balance of low and high HP mechs. And this hangar that you have right here, I think, is kind of the perfect balance of all of those. You don't have any with particularly low energy. Your lowest is 24, and that's good. You don't have any with, I mean, you have a few with relatively low. Like all three of these have relatively low HP, but you have two with very high HP. Um, and these three have kind of mediocre energy, but you have two with high energy. So basically, anything that you could draw short on, you have two different mechs to choose from that could fill that gap and could do whatever it is that you need them to do. And that's ideal because if one of them's dead already, then you'll have the other one to use or something like that. So I would not really recommend you do that. Alright, next up we got Veto. 2400 squad power. 125,000 experience. Your wins per battle looks like say like maybe 60-65%. Just eyeballing it. I don't know. So not bad, not bad. Total kills 21,000. So you're almost at 10 kills per battle average. You've got about 9 point something. So very, very good. All of your skins are the same, so that's kind of funny. Well, first up, we got the top three right here, obviously. And then my recommended two. So this hangar in general, very solid. As far as just looking over the hangar, as far as the weapons go, you got one very close range, two kind of mid range, one assault, and then one support. I would suggest putting a long range onto one of these, and I would probably replace Guardian's rocket mortar disc launcher combo with long arms or railgun if you have access to that. We'll get to that in a second, though. Zephyr with Shotgunates. I have obviously not tried this because I don't use Zephyr. I mean, I have a couple times, but that was a while ago and long before Shotgun 8 was a thing. I have tried Shotgunates on Shadow, though, and it's very interesting. I wouldn't really recommend them. And I think most of the reason for that is because they just start at such a low... They start at such a low level, and you're starting off with absolutely no blueprints for it. This is a weapon that you just obtained, so getting blueprints for this weapon is going to be very hard, which means upgrading this weapon is going to be very slow, and that's starting from a rank 2 weapon as is, so your shotgun damage is going to be kind of not great. I would suggest, instead of Shotgunates, Arc Torrent 6s would probably do better. But if you have both Arc Torrent 10 and Arc Torrent 6, you could put a combination of those to fill up that extra 4 energy. Guardian. Once again, I am not a huge fan of rocket mortar hybrid setups. I don't think they're very effective. A single disc launcher 8 isn't going to do a lot of damage. A single rocket mortar 12 is not going to be that effective. On a Guardian which can easily protect itself, you will likely survive, but you will very likely not do much of anything. So I would very much suggest, instead of this setup, you put on a sniper setup, which is almost the same as rocket mortar, except it's far less situational. It has slightly less range, and you can't hit people behind like behind cover or something. But it's much less situational and it deals more damage throughout the game, I would say. So, long arm 8 and 10 combo on your Guardian is what I would suggest. Your Killshot is, I mean, you got Killshot and Panther both with pilots, so you're doing a good thing here. These are the three mechs that you want to focus on because those are your best ones. So you probably want to put pilots on those first, obviously, and that's what I'm seeing here. That's good. You're leveling up your kill shot. Sorry, you're leveling up your kill shot a lot, as well as your Panther. Good stuff. Good stuff. I would focus on the kill shot. Try to get that kind of as close to max as you can, and then focus on the Panther, and then focus on the Zephyr. And I mean, these are your top. The reason for that is because this one is going to take them. I mean, it's probably your top mech. It's going to take the brunt of anything anyone has to throw at you. It doesn't have any way of protecting itself. It only has ways of dealing more damage. So you want to get as much HP on this as you can. Panther is kind of the same way, except its ability doesn't protect itself quite as much as Zephyr's does. Zephyr just stops everything within a certain range. Enemies can get through Panther's shield, and there is a much more significant ability cooldown time on Panther than on Zephyr. So Panther is going to be your next top priority as far as wanting to keep them from soaking up damage. After that, Zephyr, because it's obviously your next top mech. These two mechs have a good amount of base HP as is. So any type of tanking you need to do, you can do through those. But just looking at the setups here, missile rack on Killshot is pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. You're not using 2 of your available energy, but there really isn't any effective way that you could do that unless you were to use a missile rack 12 and a missile rack 6, which would probably cost you more than it would help. So I would say that's completely fine here. Your pilot is pretty high level. Pretty high level. You have missile rack reload, mech ability cooldown. On a mech that already has a kind of absurdly short cooldown, like Killshot, that ability cooldown implant skill is going to do very well. So, yeah. So that's good. That'll do you solid. You got weapon damage of +9, missile weapon damage of +8. So that'll bring him to 17. But then you have the missile rack reload time, which is just going to increase the amount of sustained fire that you can crank out. And that'll also do well because to pair a little bit better with Killshot's ability. Cooldown. So that's good. That's good stuff. Next is Panther with disc launchers. 24 energy. Ooh, you are very close to duplicating that disc launcher 12, and that is going to be fantastic because once you're able to do that, your Panther is going to be a killing freaking machine. The disc 8s, you could put on to Killshot, actually. They work very well on that. You could put the disc 8s on Guardian. Disc launcher is, in my opinion, the best available weapon for Aries, so you could consider that as well. Even though I use disc launchers a lot, and I like to say that like I don't use like some of like the meta things, but as far as weapons go, disc launchers are kind of the best weapons that are available, and I will definitely admit that they have a max range of 120 meters, which is pretty good, and their projectile speed is not by any means slow, They're much faster than missile racks, so you can actually aim it. You can sort of snipe with these things. But under 60 meters, they're guided projectiles. Like, you're not going to miss. And these things they deal significant damage as well. So, having two setups with disc launcher is not a bad idea, in my opinion, because they kind of serve as like a mid-range like the missile rack, but also as like an assault like the carbine. They're kind of double purpose, and you can use them as either. So that's kind of like the one weapon that I would say is acceptable to use on multiple mechs if you wanted to. So once you get that duplicate, you can put two discates on Aries is basically what I'm saying. You could put the carbines. I'm not really sure. You could put the carbines on to Zephyr probably, because the Shotgunates are going to be super low level for such a long time, and it's kind of not even worth it. But if you wanted to, you could just slowly upgrade the Shotgunates until the damage per mag is equal to or higher than the carbine 8 mag. Once again, Guardian probably want to put a sniper build on that. But let's look at your pilot for Panther. Mech ability duration, disc launcher damage radius. I have not obtained a epic mech ability duration one. That's actually pretty good. I have multiple rare ones, but not epic. So that's a good find for you. It's good. But you're looking at like 16, 17 extra weapon damage. Ability duration of plus 4%. It could do you some good stuff. Aries. Once again, main carbines aren't bad on Aries by any means, I would say. They're not the best weapons for it, but they're not bad at all. As far as weapons go, I would focus on these two. But as far as your hangar in general, I would try to just get more pilots at this point. Having a pilot on every single mech is kind of the thing now. Like, you can't not have a pilot. The way that the game is now, you can't not have a pilot on a mech any more than you could just not have weapons on a mech. It's not going to serve you very well. So yeah, that's basically all I got to say about your hangar, Veto. Thank you for sending that over. Alright, next up we got Devil, and for whatever reason your comment got removed from my post, but I do still have the notification, so I was able to look up your player ID. The next time you put in your ID for something, I would suggest not putting in the MA before it. I mean, it's the only one in my comments that had that, and it got removed, so I don't know, maybe that's the reason, but I have tried so many times to figure out why certain comments get removed from posts, videos, even though it contained absolutely nothing bad or wrong in any way. And it doesn't even give me an option to view it. I don't know. But yeah, sorry about that. But we are still able to view your hangar here. So approaching 75, or not 2700 squad power. You're 7500 squad power. I'd just leave right now. 200,000 experience. So doing good. You've been playing this for a while. Wins per battles looks like about 67% of the time. Total kills, I would estimate about 7. Yeah, Looks like about 7 kills per battle, average. I'm seeing a pilot on almost every mech. That's good. I am seeing uh, as far as mechs go, I would consider swapping the cheetah out for another attacker, but that is up to you. Um, got a tank in here. Got you got yourself a sniper. You got yourself a missile here. You got yourself a assault. Got yourself a uh, support. Having 2 supports here is slightly less than ideal. I would consider arc torrents on just eyeballing your hangar here. I would I would say that your best move would be to put arc torrents on Zephyr because although carbine 12 is good, like it's a 12 energy weapon obviously, and then thermal lance will just boost that damage. It is not a burst weapon damage, and by the time while you're unloading your clip, they're already recovering from your ability duration. So burst weapons like missile rack uh, or even shotgun, those are kind of burst weapons. Arc torrents are not really burst weapons, but their rate of fire is very high and they unload very quickly. So I would consider arc torrents like 10 into 6 on your Zephyr if you have those available, or even 2 6s. Um, might might do you better. You technically have more damage available if you do carbine 12 thermal lance 4. That is true. However, most of that damage is spread out over a longer period of time, and that is mostly what's going to be hindering you. And I think you'd probably get some better use out of arc torrents. Your brick house, I would not suggest rocket mortar hybrid builds to anyone. Once again, um, it is very much a support setup, and if you didn't already have a support setup, I would say that it would be acceptable because you're more than likely planning on replacing that javelin rack with another rocket mortar once you get this thing upgraded some more, and that's fine. Uh, full rocket mortars can do a lot of damage. Brickhouse's ability makes it do even more damage, so that's not bad at all. However, Cheetah is a very good mech for support weapons like javelin racks. So putting them on both mechs is not a good idea in my opinion. Putting something else on Cheetah is also, in my opinion, not a good idea. So I would consider putting something else on Brickhouse if you were to keep Cheetah in your hangar. Myself personally, I would probably put another attacker in here. I think, given your experience amount, you should have access to Redox. So if you're able to get Redox, I would actually put that instead of Cheetah. And then that, yeah. Disc launchers are very good. I would put disc launchers on Brickhouse. You could put, well, I mean, I have a Max Cheetah, and Max Cheetah with double disc launcher 8s works very well, but that's obviously like not something that's immediately available to you. But disc launchers in general are very good weapons. You could put them on Killshot and put the missile racks on Brickhouse so that um, the burst effect of the missile rack is kind of complementing the relatively short duration of Brickhouse's what's it even called? Overcharger. Yeah. So like you activate overcharger, You fire all your missiles. You don't have to worry about your overcharger running out while you're firing at something. That sort of thing. Um, so yeah, that's about all I would recommend as far as mechs and weapons go. Take a quick look at your pilots. You definitely want to upgrade your pilots more. Although they're still very new, so I don't really blame you for not having them upgraded. So like, don't get me wrong, it's very expensive and it's not at all ideal. Um, and maybe you're just saving up to get better pilots, and you just have these as kind of like fill-in pilots, and that's completely fair too. Don't waste your resources on something that you're just going to replace. But if you do plan on keeping the rare pilots in here, and not spending A coins on like epic pilots, then you definitely want to upgrade these a bit more and put as many effective implants on here as possible just for any type of edge. It's like it starts off at like 2%, something like that, but it's still something you can get. So you got guided weapon damage and cheetah mind blast radius plus 5%. So you got like 5% extra weapon damage just on these. You got like 5% extra weapon damage on your kill shot from that pilot. This pilot gives you another like 5% extra weapon damage. And your Panther, about another 5% weapon damage. I mean, you definitely have the right pilots on here. What you need now are just to get implants. Like I said before, you can buy implants from the shop. You can buy rare ones anyway for like 10,000 credits. Not that expensive. You can get that in about a single day. Um, but that's definitely the weakest part of your hangar at the moment. Outside of your, um, I would say, your inability to do very much close range combat. Obviously, your Zephyr will be able to freeze people, and your Killshot will be able to melee dash them, and your Cheeto will be able to blow them up with the mines, but you don't have any close range weapons. Um, and I think as far as weapons go, that's what you should focus on. But otherwise, your pilots, getting your pilots upgraded, getting implants for as many pilots as you can, getting your implants upgraded, those are going to serve you very, very well. And those are what I would focus on currently. But all in all, a very solid hangar. Alright, next up we got Revenger DSK. I think Revenger is this clan name. So it would just be DSK. You got about 2,300 squad power, about 120,000 experience. Wins per battles, it looks like. I mean, you're doing pretty well. It's getting on like 900 out of like 1,200, which is like 3/4, so like 75%. So that's very good win ratio. Your total kills are over 10 per battle, so very good there. Long arm Killshot is your top mech. That's definitely an idea. Yeah, it's definitely an idea. I have seen it done before, I think, and like I said, everything works with Killshot because the bulk of Killshot is just in the ability itself. Long arms can give you the ability to fire at people from long distance. So, I mean, it can work. It can definitely work. And even though I would personally recommend that you probably put like missile rags or something onto Killshot for a more optimized Killshot play, as it is, it's also fine. Quick look at your hangar. I don't see any tanks, and your highest HP mech would be Guardian. Although Guardian does have a lot of HP. it's usually good to have a tank of some kind. And I would replace Shadow with an Aries, um, if at all possible. Javelin racks on a Shadow are not at all a bad idea. Beam weapons on Guardian, they can work. I've done it. It's not the worst at all. Um, Stasis 8 and Long Arm 10 on Panther. I will get to that in a minute. I do have something to say about that, but I'll get to that in a second. As is, you have a mid-range beam. You got some long-range setups. You got support. You got kind of another sort of mid-range. You don't really have any assault or close-range weapons, and this is kind of up to the player, and it does depend on uh, it depends on like your playstyle. And it's the same reason that I say that you should never use a javelin rack uh, or a rocket mortar hybrid build, is because if your playstyle is to hang back and fire at people with sniper weapons or something like that, or to keep them at a distance with stasis with beam weapons or something like that, you have a very sort of removed playstyle where you don't get up in people's face, and that is completely up to you to do. So having a hybrid build where it's like, well, I can, fire at somebody if they get right up in my face with this weapon, then if they're all the way over there, I can fire at them with this weapon. Like, it's completely up to you where you are in relation to them most of the time. So having a hybrid build like that is actually, it just makes you overall ineffective, whereas you could be effective in specific situations that you control. But on with that, we got Guardian with beam weapons, and this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Your thermal lance is only there for the overheat effect, and I wouldn't upgrade it anymore. I'm sure you weren't really planning on it, so your pilot looks like it's pretty good level. You got carbine and missile rack damage implants on your beam weapon pilot. I would recommend neither of those be on there. This one, the carbine one, you can take off for free. The missile rack will cost you, and that's why you have to be careful when you put on a pilot implant, especially when upgrading it. You want to make sure that it works well with the pilot that you have. Shadow with javelin racks. Javelin racks work very well on Shadow. They work very well on Killshot. They work well on Lancer too, if you want to be that person. Um, but yeah, that's those. This is your only support setup. So beam weapons are pretty often used as support, but they're also kind of just mid range. So they're a little bit uh, multitask. So your pilot here, guided damage. So you have two disc launcher based implants on here. Something that you should keep in mind is that it is a very good idea to have pilots on all of your mechs, because they can continue to build XP, and you can continue to rank them up regardless of whether or not they're actually doing anything for you. You can continue to rank them up so that you can put them onto something else later. That's just a good idea. Implants are not the same. Implants do not gain XP. They're whether or not you can upgrade them is completely dependent on the pilot rank. So these are good implants to have on this pilot, but they're not good implants to have on this mech because you're not using disc launchers. So, yeah. Um, Obviously, if you were going to, say, replace Shadow with a Aries that has disc launchers, that would work very well. That's actually what I use. Um, and it works great. So keep that in mind. Very low level long arms on the Killshot, which is interesting. But I guess it just continues to go to show that you really don't need any type of specific weapon on Killshot for it to be good. Um, your pilot is pretty high level, so that's good. Sniper weapon damage +2, weapon damage +6.7, long arm damage +4. The railgun damage +2 isn't doing anything, but so long as you don't upgrade it anymore, it won't cost you anything to take it off. So it's completely fine to leave it on there. No objections with that. Your Killshot has okay 1600. Zephyr. Good weapons to have on Zephyr. Burst weapons are always very good. I think arc torrents in general work better, but missile racks are also very good choice for this. So, and this pilot is the missile rack one, dealing extra missile rack damage and missile rack reload time reduced by 3%. So, yeah, you got like a boosted almost 20% weapon damage, and then -3% reload time for a little better sustained firepower. So that's good. Good stuff. Panther, stasis beam 8, long arm 10. Okay. So a lot of people who use long arm or railgun, if they don't have another available to them, a lot of the time they will use a beam weapon. And the reason for that is because the beam weapon automatically one of the perks for long arm. We'll just look at this one of the perks for long arm. On the bottom, no aiming correction. This weapon does not offer aiming correction. So a lot of players, when they have long arm or railgun, very precise hitting weapons, they'll use a stasis beam that or a thermal lance that does offer aiming correction, because these definitely do offer aiming correction, to make it so that their long arms, they hit more often. Like, they're less likely to miss with their long arm if they just put a weapon that corrects their aim for them. And this does work. However, it also makes you very ineffective as a sniper, and I will tell you why. The stasis beam as a weapon requires you to be constantly hitting the enemy, which means that when you're using a long arm, you're probably not holding down probably not holding down the left weapon button and then tapping the right weapon button to fire the long arm. You're probably just holding down the attack button, letting it fire all weapons at will. More than likely, you're just going to completely unload your long arm mag on any enemy. Even though it only required 2 to 3 shots, you'll just fire an extra 1 or 2 because you're just holding down the button, firing everything until it's gone. And that will very often just result in you not dealing a lot of damage. So even though you might think that this is making it better for you so that you don't really have to aim, it's really not. I would suggest putting a long arm 8 instead of the stasis beam 8. If you really want to put the stasis beam 8 on something, I'm not really sure what you could put it on. You could put it on. I'm not really sure. I mean, you could put 2 of them on Killshot. I mean, Killshot's good with everything. We've already established that. It'll make it so that it can, catch up to things and melee dash into them. They can't get away as easy. So, like, a couple stasis beam 8s could pretty effectively replace these very low level long arm 8s. if you want to consider that, because you're going to need one of these to put onto this anyway. But yeah, apart from that, let's take a look at this. Assault weapon damage, which is not something that you're using. None of your mechs have assault weapons, so really nothing much there. Mech ability cooldown, that's good, -4%. You have that upgraded. Shotgun damage, that's kind of a random thing to have on there. Again, implants don't gain XP, so you don't even if it's not going to do you any good, just take it off. Just have an empty slot. But as it is, you haven't upgraded it, so it's not going to do you any. It's not going to do anything. But I think it's just a better idea to take it off, because otherwise, like if you're upgrading your implants and you just kind of accidentally upgrade it without thinking about it, you're like, oh yeah, and then now you have to lose your implant parts or spend A coins to get all of it back after you take the stupid thing off. So, you know, that's slightly less than ideal. And that does it for your hangar. Thank you for your comment. I also recognize you as a regular in the Discord, I believe. So anyone else watching, feel free to join the Discord. It is linked down below in the description. And we are going to get into the last hangar review. Okay, so this is the last one I will be looking at today. We got Wick Hunt, and in his comment he said, I am saving up for Railgun. Please tell me if I should change any of my weapon mech combos to be more effective. Okay, I will keep that in mind. I can see you're at that XP level too, so that's good. Squad power 2700. Wins per battles. Looks like 65%. Not bad. Total kills looks like maybe 8. Probably. Actually, it's like. It's like 5 to 6. I think it's closer to 6. So let's take a look at this. Very fancy skin you have here. I have this one, and it's nice. Just a quick overview of your hangar as a whole. Surge is kind of crap. I'm just gonna put that out there. Zephyr is going to be much better. So if you're trying to take this game very seriously, you don't want to use Surge. Otherwise, if it's just for fun, go ahead and use it. I mean, Surge, it's difficult. It's a challenge. It can be nice. Other than that, the rest of this hangar looks fine. You got Killshot, you got Panther, you got my 2 recommended mechs. And so, yeah. Other than that, we got weapons. You got 2 different mechs with missile rack, which is interesting. Disc launcher, very good on Killshot. Carbines, very good on Guardian. Carbines can also work on Aries. But it looks like you have kind of 1 mid-range with Panther. Sort of 2 with Killshot. 1 close range. And then 2 assault. You have no support and you have no sniper. And support, I mean, you could use Stasis Beam as support. Support is usually Stasis Beam, Thermal Lance, Javelin Rack, or Rocket Mortar. None of these mechs would work very well with Javelin Rack or Rocket Mortar. You could put I would recommend, okay, you got 24 energy. So you're using all 24 energy to make this, on this Panther. But if you were to add a Thermal Lance 6 instead of the Missile Rack 8, it would do less damage than the Missile Rack 8, However, the overheat perk would cause the stasis beam to deal 1.5 damage, effectively making it deal. Sorry, man, I'm gonna have to decline. Uh, Effectively making it deal like 24. Yeah, like it's effectively a stasis beam 24 when when the overheat perk kicks in, which is already like the amount of energy that you're using right here. Add to that the damage that the thermal lance itself does. You're technically doing more damage if you use a thermal lance 6 instead of a missile rack 8. They're both the same. Like it would pair better with the stasis beam. Also, it would make it so that you're more effective as a slightly removed, more support setup, as opposed to very really limiting the use for that missile rack. Because at any decent distance, missile rack does not hit anything ever. Um, so I would do that. Uh, you could use that as your support. Other than that, you're probably going to want a sniper of some kind. Your Aries has 16. Okay. You could put 2 long arm 8s on Aries. I've done it and it actually does not work bad at all. Or you could put 2 missile rack 8s on Aries if you wanted to. If you have Arc Torrent 6, I would put that on and well, I don't know. It's actually interesting. Because, like, I wouldn't say... Surge isn't really good with any weapon combo, I found, so you can kind of do whatever you want with that. If I would personally replace it with, I would personally replace it with Zephyr and put Arc Torrent 10 and Arc Torrent 6 on it. Maybe put the missile racks on Aries, or you could keep the Aries with carbines. You did say you were saving up for Railgun. Railgun's very good for Guardian or Panther, so whichever one you prefer. I would say probably Guardian, and then if you wanted to get really weird with the like kind of mix up a couple things, like you could put the well, you have how much? 24? Yeah, okay. So you could put the Railgun 16 on Guardian once you get it. You could also pair that with a long arm 8, right? That makes this your sniper setup. This could hold the carbines from your Guardian, which is a total of 12 energy, or 24, 20. I can't speak. 22 energy. Goodness. Which can more or less accompany all of the energy that your Panther has. You could put the carbines on your Panther, and that will work great. You could then put the stasis beam and a thermal lance combo onto Aries instead of the carbines. So that Aries is then your sustained fire mech, because it works well with those. One of the few that does. You would then replace Surge with Zephyr, obviously putting an Arc Torrent 10. You could keep the Arc Torrent 10 missile rack combo if you really wanted to, but I think Zephyr starts off with only 16 energy, so you might have to replace it with a missile rack 6. But that is all. That is all that I would recommend for here. We'll take a quick look at your pilots, but real quick, you wanna get pilots on these two. Even if they're just rare pilots, they still do a little bit. So like they can do up to like 10% extra damage just without implants sometimes. So definitely worth going for that. You got one pilot with it, which is pretty good level. Assault weapon pilot with a carbine damage and mech ability cooldown. And that's good, because this pilot is not specific to Guardian. You could move this pilot onto Panther if you put the carbines onto Panther. So that would still work very well. And you're getting an extra like 7, 8, 15, almost 20% extra weapon damage. Like, pilots are absolutely insane. And that you're dealing almost 20% extra damage just with the pilot on Guardian. So you definitely want pilots on these two ASAP. You got guided pilot for Killshot, so that's good. Back ability cooldown again. Where did you get these from? And disc launcher damage. Very good stuff, very good stuff. Looks like another almost 20%. And Surge, the close range, focused on arc torrent, but with one missile rack. So missile rack damage, arc torrent range, arc torrent damage. 18% extra arc torrent range is pretty good. But what level are your arc torrents? Okay, so right now you only got like 32. What is your 33 meters? Okay, so you're looking at like maybe 35 meters or something like that. But yeah, decent level pilot. You got weapon damage of 9.4. Close quarters weapon damage of 4%. So that's like 13 right there. Arc torrent damage of plus 4%. So you got like 17% extra damage on your arc torrent. Only 13% extra. Actually, no, only 15% extra damage? Yeah, only 15% extra damage on your missile rack. Actually, no. Not 15. 11. I can't count. Anyway. Yes, that is that. So yeah. Any questions you might have, feel free to leave those in the comments and I will answer them. But otherwise, this was kind of fun. Thank you for responding to my post. Kind of gave a little bit of a short notice, but I still had quite a turn up. It was like 10 plus people. So thank you all for your contribution to this video. And yeah, if you have anything to say, anything to add, then feel free to leave it in the comments. I got the link to my Discord down in the description. I am not always active there, but you can talk to me directly, so there is that. Other than that, I hope you guys have a good weekend, good holiday, and I hope to see you all in the next one.